Hi, folks. I'm Jamie Hiles,
I'm Lydia Judy.
And I'm Derrick Master.
and this is Scream Bloody Movies, the podcast where we review a horror movie each week, go over the horror news, and we find out who rules. Who rules, Derrick?
Stephen King.
He does rule. Also, O'Doyle. He rules as well.
Yeah, until he falls off a cliff.
Yep, that's bad news.
Doesn't pay to be O'Doyle.
Doesn't pay to be O'Doyle. O'Doyle doesn't rule. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing good.
I'm going to say 72.5%.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
Could
I'm
be worse,
about-
could be better.
I'm about a C, like a 70, 75. You know, doing okay. Not bad. Actually
C's
had a
get
good
degrees.
day. They do. I know from experience. No, had a good day. Got a lot of work done, editing, writing, the new project. So, it was a good day. And I watched a nice movie, which was terrifying, and I can't wait to talk about it. I also watched The Black Phone last night. So we have to, you guys, it's on Peacock right now, streaming on Peacock. So check it out. You guys watch it, and then maybe we'll do it here in a few.
Sounds good.
I'm not going to say anything about it because I'm saving it for our review.
I'm really curious to know.
Wink
I'll
once
tell
if
you off
liked
mic
it.
about it. Huh?
Wink once if you liked it, and twice if you did.
Can't do it. We've got to,
Oh, man.
I'll tell you guys off mic what I thought about it. You guys can watch it and we'll discuss it
Oh my gosh.
at some point. At some point. At some point.
Okay.
So, yeah. Anything new going on with you guys? Good.
Well, I felt like there was something. There was something. I don't want to
Oh,
get my
yeah,
hopes up. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Lydia. Go ahead.
No. I don't want to say anything too soon about my news, so
Okay, that's
just
true.
gonna sit over here and cross my fingers and be quiet.
Derrick, do you have any news?
Heck yeah, my daughter ate her first book.
Aww.
That's a
And
big
then
step.
Upchucked on my wife, so
Good.
it was a
All great
win-win.
news.
Because it wasn't me. I didn't get vomited on, so I feel pretty.
Yeah, that's
pretty good
true.
with that.
That's true. And you know what? At least she's, eating healthy. I mean, what was the book? That's what really matters.
Yeah.
It was a hardcover children's book. Quincy, my wife was like, somehow in her pack and play, she was like, somehow she must have, eaten a tissue. And I was like, a tissue? Why would a tissue be in her pack and play? She was like, I don't know, or a baby wipe. I'm like, okay. So I walk over to the crib and nope, there's a book in there with like a half-eaten corner. I'm like, no, it was definitely a book.
Aw.
She doesn't understand you're supposed to read them yet. She just thinks you're supposed to eat them.
Yeah,
They sound similar.
osmosis. She's trying to
Read,
get the
eat.
information through
Yeah.
osmosis. So
Yeah,
Must
she's
not
trying
have
to
been
figure it
very
out.
digestible.
No, it wasn't a digest book. That's for sure. So stupid. Well, guys, I'm really excited to talk about tonight's movie. Really excited. There's a lot to say about it. But before that, let's do what we do every week and get into the horror news. So I was surprisingly, for me, able to find quite a bit of news. And some of it is big, cool news. Some of it is weird news. So let's get into it. Let's start with this one. So Carla Gugino from the Hill House in, Haunting of Hill House and Haunting of Bly Manor is starring. She just joined the cast for Lisa Frankenstein, which is a comedy directed by Robin Williams' daughter Zelda and written by Diablo Cody. The plot is,
just to clarify, she it was the mom in Haunting of Hill House, right? Okay.
Yes. So the plot breakdown is an unpopular high schooler accidentally reanimates a handsome Victorian corpse during a lightning storm and starts to rebuild him into the man of her dreams using the broken tanning bed in her garage. It stars Catherine Newton from Freaky, and Cole Sprouse is in it as well. What do you guys think about this?
Sounds interesting.
It does sound interesting.
Lisa
Sounds fun.
Frankenstein sounds like why didn't I think of that?
Sounds
I
fun.
love
It is. I think is it Zelda's directorial? Yep, it is. It's her directorial debut, and it takes place in 1989. This movie does, by the way. So it's her directorial debut, and Diablo Cody hasn't written anything in a while. I don't feel like. So, I mean, she was real hot stuff for a while there, especially around the time of Juno and Jennifer's Body and all that. So yeah,
She did both of those?
she wrote the script for both of those. Yes, Jason
Interesting.
Reitman directed Juno, if I remember right. But,
Yeah, I just didn't know that she wrote both of those. I could have, like, the Juno makes sense, but Jennifer's Body, interesting.
Yep. So good old Paul W.S. Anderson. How do you guys feel about Paul W.S. Anderson?
I don't even know that guy by his name.
You do. He directed pretty much all of the Resident Evil movies.
Okay, so very mediocre. Sure, go ahead.
He also did Alien vs. the first Alien vs. Predator, and his best movie, in my opinion, is Event Horizon. He directed Event Horizon as well.
Okay.
But he said that he is planning on doing a straight horror movie in the near future. He said it's something he's always interested in, but he's usually gone like more action oriented with kind of scary action. But he wants to do a full on horror movie. What do you think about that? Do you guys think he's capable of doing a full on horror movie? Would that even interest you?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're a horror movie podcast, so we kind of need those to keep going. So anybody's welcome.
Much.
But, yeah, I think. I mean, you said he did AVP.
The first AVP, yes.
Which, when I was young, I watched, and I thought that was pretty scary. So I thought that had a lot of good horror elements in it.
Yeah, you were a kid. That's forgivable.
I was young. I like
we
that
were
movie
not
still,
when that movie
though.
came out, were we, Derrick? We were not young.
To be fair,
No,
I still like that movie.
Yeah, I genuinely did like that movie. I mean, it's not one of the.
It's not scary.
In any franchise, yeah. It was entertaining. I found it entertaining.
It's
And
way
then
better
Horizon,
than this. It's good.
Actually, I found pretty scary whenever I was younger.
Oh, I did too when I was a kid.
The premise of the movie is really fascinating. So I think he's capable of it.
Yeah, I agree. I think he is too. We will do Event Horizon one day. I think that'd be a good one to do.
I think so too.
So Vince Gilligan, who of course created Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, so he's one of the best TV writers of all time. He has a new TV show he's developing for Sony Pictures that is basically compared to the X-Files and the Twilight Zone. He says, word is that the new show harkens back to his tenure on the X-Files, because he started in the X-Files. But don't expect a sci-fi drama. When he was the writer-producer, he's known for focusing on human condition in his episodes. So it's described as a blended, grounded genre drama. What do you think about the concept of Vince Gilligan tackling a horror series?
Oh, hell yeah. Hell
yes.
yes.
I'm down. I'm
going to defer to your expertise. So,
oh, I mean, based off of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, I mean, just
I'll watch anything
that he does. Yeah,
especially
phenomenal.
Something like
horror related.
Yeah, I've
Twilight
I've
Zone.
not seen an episode of Breaking Bad.
You've not seen Breaking Bad?
or Better Call Saul.
It's-
No, I've heard it's so
it's
good.
never too late. Yeah, it's
It
never too
is
late.
phenomenal.
I really like.
It's one of the
Yeah.
best shows ever written. It's amazing. Yeah. Okay. This, you guys. So Anne Rice has a new show coming out, The Mayfair Witches, starring Alexandra Daddario. I think we touched on this slightly.
I don't know, but anything she's in, thumbs up.
So yeah, basically the plot is let's see if they give us the series will focus on an intuitive young neurosurgeon played by Alexandria, who discovers that she is the unlikely heir to a family of witches. As she grapples with her newfound powers, she must contend with a sinister presence that has haunted her family for generations. What do you guys think of this?
Depends on execution. I feel like that it sounds like a story that has been done a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
So I depends on execution, but I would definitely give it a watch.
I'm sure you would, Derrick. I'm sure you would. What do you think, Lydia?
I hate like just judging things so harshly off the bat. I think I'm gonna need a trailer. You know, I feel like I can judge better from a trailer. Because right now all I can picture is cuz you know what I mean?
Is what?
When she's,
here's
Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah, do your thing, cuz.
Yeah. I was
one of the
saying
worst
that
things to
earlier,
ever
too.
exist. We'll get there eventually, and that is a terrible time. That's a terrible time.
But I don't want to judge her all on that because that's
she's
not
great on
her
other stuff.
decision to say that.
She's really great in True Detective. Really great. True Detective on itself is a great show, wasn't it, Derrick?
Oh man, that
the first
show
season, yeah,
is a masterpiece.
It really is. The first
It's
season
so
is
good.
great. Yeah, and she's great in it.
Yeah, I'd have paid any amount of money that they wanted to get them to come back to do another season.
Yeah,
Matthew McConaughey and
Woody
That's not
Harrelson.
what I thought you were going to say.
I didn't either. I thought you were going to go
I was like,
somewhere
where is
else
this going?
Yeah, no, I would pay any amount. I was like, Derrick, don't say it aloud.
No, legitimately, that is one of my favorite seasons of
Yeah.
any TV show ever made. It is so
I agree.
good.
I agree.
I don't think
I
I've ever
agree.
seen it.
Oh God, it's good. It's really good too. Yeah, I
Lydia.
own it on Blu-ray. It's the first.
I won't-
The other two seasons, not for me. Didn't like the other two seasons.
Is it on anything?
It's HBO. HBO
Yeah.
Max.
Oh, okay. Okay. I must have.
There's
missed it
actually
or
a new
something.
season coming out, Derrick, with Jodie Foster.
Interesting.
It's set in
Interesting.
Alaska.
Interesting.
Oh,
I saw
love
the
Jodie
second
Foster.
one. I don't think I
I
saw
love
the
Jodie
third
Foster
one.
too. The third one's
Did
better
you-
than the second one.
I said I love Jodie Foster in Alaska.
Oh, me too. I love her in all settings, but
in
especially
any state.
in the Great White North.
Yes.
Elysium was not great, but
What was it?
Elysium was not.
Oh, yeah.
That's a sci-fi thing.
I remember that one. But you know what is great? Panic Room.
I've not seen that one.
Oh, Panic Room rules.
Dude,
So does-
Panic Room.
A movie that we will eventually cover, The Silence of the Lambs.
Oh yeah.
It's
That movie
kind
blows
of good.
everything out of the water,
It's a
I think.
kind of a good movie. Yeah.
Stone Cold
All right.
classic.
It's all right. Won 5 Oscars, no big deal.
Yeah.
Swept all the major Oscars, not a big deal. So, guys, this last bit of horror news. Oh my God.
Oh no.
There is a new movie coming out that releases this November. It is called, are you guys ready for this?
Sitting down.
It's called Amityville Thanksgiving.
Oh my god. No. No.
Thanksgiving?
Is it a parody?
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah, what's the synopsis of this movie? 'Cause
I'm reading it. Give me a
It can't be
second.
serious. It can't be serious.
Oh, stop. Give me a second. Jackie and Danny are spending the holiday week in therapy instead of at the dinner table. Their marriage has taken a turn for the worst, and they turn to what they believe to be their only option. Amityville couples counselor Frank Domenico, a doctor with a hidden sinister past. He
Oh.
recommends an isolated cabin retreat to save the family. But once alone together, the doctor's unorthodox approach starts to push the couple over the edge.
Ooh.
Strange visitors, visions, and occult items haunt their stay, coming to peak on Thanksgiving Day. Little do they know that the doctor plans to end their session, as well as their lives, with a devilish dinner, in them as the main course.
Oh. That doesn't actually sound bad.
It doesn't.
There's
a
trailer.
On the title.
Oh, there's a trailer. Jamie knows something we don't know. So it is
You want
bad.
to see the trailer? You want to see the trailer?
Let's see it.
We can't hear it, right?
No, but you guys can. Do you want to watch the trailer right now?
I want to watch it.
And then
Yes.
we'll put our reactions in.
Let me see it.
All right.
I'm listening with my eyes.
Okay. Well, just look at that screenshot.
Oh no!
I thought we were actually going to watch it.
We will.
We don't even need to watch it after that screenshot. That looks terrible.
We can actually watch it if you want instead of just screen sharing it.
It's okay.
Amityville Thanksgiving.
You can't have a good movie.
Oh my God!
Thanksgiving.
Are you showing the? Oh, you're actually showing the.
That looks like CG. It's all like choppy on my end. So.
Yeah.
But this looks so over edited.
Oh.
Hi, my name is Frank.
Oh.
I'm a couples therapist. You know, I'm at my wit's end with this couple. I invited them here for Thanksgiving dinner, figuring this is going to be the last hurrah.
I don't like this guy. I think he's a little crazy.
Why?
What are you guys thinking of this?
Maybe that's just his process. You know, you're always jealous. I think you're crazy.
Oh my gosh! So I am watching the trailer.
Yeah, it's atrocious,
And-
right?
Dude, like these people are not actors.
No.
Like to go out there.
How is this legal?
Sure, this man. For your own good, you need not to be here, please.
So I have one question.
Uh-huh.
How in the mother did they get a trailer on IMDb? I guess anybody can put one up there because that looks terrible. I'm sorry whoever wrote it and directed it, but
That
man,
looked bad.
if you want some constructive criticism,
Ugh.
redo it. It doesn't look good.
Maybe it's good though. Maybe it's fun.
Nope, there's no way. Not from the trailer.
Like I feel like this would be like my favorite riff tracks kind of movie though. You know what I
Derrick
mean?
says, nope, no way.
Like that's the kind of stuff I like to watch in certain scenarios.
Oh,
I'm going to
man.
give you an analogy. Right now, from watching that trailer, I feel like the old man from the Bill of Madison. I feel like I just stepped in a pile of flaming dog shit.
No, it does. It looks.
Danny,
It,
Danny,
Dang it.
Danny.
what is
Oh,
that?
It's the
Oh, that's
trailer.
what
It sounds like
What is it playing on?
on Derrick's.
Derrick, is that the trailer playing on yours?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I'm just hearing somebody yelling Danny.
Danny.
I was
Oh,
like, what the
God.
fuck is that?
Sorry.
So yeah, it does not look the best. You know, what are you gonna do?
That's being so generous. That's nice of you.
We have to wait to see, but it does not. It definitely looks like the low budget movie that it is. It's an unofficial Amityville movie.
What? There's no way.
Yeah, it's an unofficial.
Oh, okay. Because I can tell you, if I had anything to do with that franchise and I saw that, I'd be suing because I'd be like, you guys are going to disgrace our name.
Yeah, no, it's Amityville. Anybody can make a movie with the title Amityville.
Yeah.
but they can't use the Lutz's story. You'd have to pay for the Lutz's story, but you can name pretty much anything Amityville
because it's a place. It's an actual place.
Yeah, and it's a public knowledge, so you can say the Amityville butthole movie about the Amityville butthole.
It'd probably be more entertaining than that movie. So the cover of that movie actually reminds me of another Thanksgiving, Jim.
Thanksgiving?
Yep, and guess what we're going to be doing during that time? My pick will be.
Oh no, dude!
Thanksgiving, dude. It's gonna happen.
That's just too bad to even watch.
And then around Christmas time, I'm totally gonna do the Ginger Dead Man. I'm just giving you a preview of the stuff coming down.
Don't do it just because we made fun of Critters 2. There's no reason to still hold a grudge. You already got us back with last week's episode of Raw Dog Rex. Which, by the way, guys, before we get into Texas Chainsaw, there's some stuff I found out about Rawhead Rex while I was editing and doing some research, which is the original Clive Barker's original design for him when he wrote the short story and then wrote the script was he was supposed to be a walking phallus.
Yeah, I saw that too. I saw that online.
Yeah, and did you see the art that they did for it?
Yeah, I did.
The concept art?
I was really confused.
You want to see it, Derrick?
What is all this?
Sure. Do you want it? So before we do this, this actually reminds me of some art that was once displayed in Peru.
Oh, yes.
In that guy's backyard.
Yes,
the giant old phallic symbol.
The old dick tree. It was there. It's a thing that existed. So here's what the concept art was, Derrick. Here's what he looked like.
No way.
Yep. Giant dickhead.
See, I told you. It could be a condom commercial.
Yep, he's just a giant dickhead with pointy teeth. Interesting, right?
So dumb.
Yep, we're gonna insert a audio of Taika Waititi saying, "Fool, that guy called me a dickhead again."
Yeah, Thor.
Thor, he's back. That kid on the TV just called me a dickhead again.
Noob master. One of my favorite bits. All right, guys. Now it's time to talk about tonight's main event, the 1974 Stone Cold classic, Tobe Hooper's terrifying Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So let's start this episode like we do every episode and talk about our experiences. Let's start with you, Lydia. What's your experience with Texas Chainsaw?
So I think the first chainsaw encounter that I had was the remake with Jessica Biel. So I saw that first, and that terrified me pretty good.
It's a good one.
As
one of the better remakes.
I can't remember. I feel like I must have been in like 6th grade when that came out or something, and it was scary. And
I was in high school.
Then I saw the first. Did I see the first one or the second one of the older ones? Can't remember what order, but I've been terrified every single time. Like first 3 or 4 experiences, I was terrified of these movies. So I can't remember exactly when I watched this one, but I was scared when I watched it.
Derrick, what's your history with this movie?
So I do have a memory of this movie, dating back to probably the early 90s, maybe even like late 80s. So I'm pretty sure that this used to run every so often on Channel 4. And so I remember the van scene. Not in great detail, but I remember watching the van scene.
You remember that vision of you watching it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, so you've seen this one quite a few times. Yep.
I haven't seen this movie in probably, I'm almost a certain age. I'm not going to say it on here. But anyway, I probably haven't seen this movie in 30 years.
Yeah, you look damn good for 70, by the way. Just want you to know.
Motherfucker.
Yeah,
Well, you look a lot like Rawhead Rex's cover art.
good one.
No, I'll work on my comeback.
Yeah, please do.
I meant to say concept art, but whatever.
I know what you meant to say. I know. You're trying to call me a dickhead. You damn Richard Cranium. You just couldn't get it out.
My wrestling coach once came into we were at a meet and it was on a Saturday, so we had a bunch of like consecutive matches. And anyway, he comes into the locker room and he goes, "You guys are acting like a bunch of Richard Craniums," and everyone was like, What? It took a moment, but he was trying to be politically correct.
That's nice. That's excellent.
Yeah.
So my experience with Chainsaw is it's one of those movies that I saw the sequels before I saw the original for sure. I remember watching part 3, Leatherface, first in like 93 when that came out. Mm-hmm. And I always saw bits and pieces of the original for the longest time, never the full thing. And then when we were in junior high or early high school, we had all my friends came over to stay the night, and we rented this. I remember, I think Joey was actually there and Morecraft, but we rented this, and it was scary. The things that, because it had been built up as, you hear the lore of it's a terrifying movie. And I watched it and I was like, well, yeah, it's a little dated. And then once the shit happens, then it's just balls to the wall the entire rest of the time. And I was like, oh, okay. So then from then on, I've watched it, many times. The last time I actually watched this movie, I was home by myself. Sarah was, I think she was gone. I think she was at her friend's house, in Indy. And I was home by myself. And I watched this on Shudder, and I heard something upstairs, like a noise upstairs. And I was like, it's fine. And then a broom fell. And I was like, okay, now I've got to see if there's something up there. I heard it hit the floor. So I went up there and I checked it out. And then I went and made sure all my doors were locked and shit. I was like, fucking Chainsaw. You actually got me looking around.
Yeah.
I just warning you guys, I had a way different experience watching this movie.
Oh, it's fine. So here's the thing. What do you guys want to talk about first? You want to talk about the characters?
Sure.
Okay. Okay. Let's start talking with let's start with Leatherface himself. Which is a great concept for a horror villain. What do you guys think of Leatherface?
Super interesting horror villain, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
He's really not like the rest.
He's not at all. No.
So his character is actually loosely based off of a real person, John Wayne Gacy.
Kind of. A little bit John Wayne Gacy, a little bit Ed Gein. Ed Gein.
Yeah.
A lot of Ed Gein.
Because which one of them actually did either one of them wear
No.
people's skin?
No.
So it's just completely...
Ed Gein did have like things in his house that were made of human remains because he was a gravedigger, basically.
He was a grave robber, which is what the beginning of the movie is about. Yeah.
Yeah. And he got caught because he did kill one woman.
Yeah. And his mom, I do believe.
He should have stuck to what he knew.
Just digging graves.
Yeah.
Just digging graves. I mean, it's messed up.
Stealing graves.
Better than murder.
Yeah. No, I love his design. I love his look. He's like, if I fucking went into that house and saw that guy, I'd be terrified. Like, nah. I'm gonna go this way. I'll see you later. And he also he's very interesting because he's also kind of you have the Shape, who is pure evil. You have
Mhm.
Jason, who is pure vengeance. You have Freddy, which is he is very evil and
Pure
very
nightmare.
manipulative. Yeah, and very manipulative. Then you have Leatherface, who is basically a dog that's pointed in a direction.
Yeah.
I was gonna
Mm.
to keep in
I
line
wouldn't say
with
dog, but
what you were saying. He's kind of like pure chaos
Mhm.
because he has
Mhm.
no like. Obviously, this harkens back. He
Mhm.
seems like he's mentally challenged,
yeah,
and
it's
so
very
he,
chaotic.
yeah, and so he's just like all over the place. His look does. I mean, he does. If I came across somebody like that in what I conceived of as a rundown house, I would probably poop myself. So
Yeah.
yeah,
He's great.
because at
And
first
then
he doesn't even wield a chainsaw until a little bit later.
no,
So
and we'll get into all that too here in a minute. But let's talk about our other characters because we have one of my favorite characters of the whole movie, which is the fucking cook. The cook fucking cracks me up. He's even better in Chainsaw 2. But the cook is so disturbing and weird and creepy. And
the cook is the dad, right?
he's the oldest brother. They're all brothers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's the oldest. He's the oldest brother. So he's the one that's like, I never did, get much entertainment out of killing. Let's just do it fast. But sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
Dude, he is messed up. He is so messed up.
He's
Yeah.
not as messed up as the other brother.
Oh no,
Not-
no.
They're
The
all
hitchhiker.
messed
Not.
up.
Oh
The
my
hitchhiker.
god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude. So here's why I think this movie works. There's things that are dated about it and stuff, sure. But what works is imagine putting yourself in the situations that these people are in. Can you imagine picking up a hitchhiker and then he starts cutting himself and shit? I would have punched him right in the face. like, get out.
I would have been like yelling, "Hey, pull over. Pull over."
Yeah. It's terrifying. That's such a terrifying
Like,
concept.
why didn't they pull over? I told Jake, like, as we started, I was like, I have no desire to ever go to Texas because of this movie. Like, this movie ruined Texas for me somehow. Like, and that says a lot, I think, for a film. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Greg
I feel
Abbott
like
did it for me.
I knew you were gonna come back with something
Hey.
like that. I knew it.
Virtual high five, man. That was a good one.
No, you're right, because it makes it so scary. Because it's a desolate, open, like run down area that they show of Texas too. It's not like,
Yeah,
your
and they're all
Houstons or your
sweaty.
Dallases or your Yeah. Oh yeah, because there's also no like AC and fans
Ugh.
really. So it's just all gross sweatiness. Let's talk about our protagonist
dirty.
characters. Yeah, and dirty. Let's talk about our protagonist
Sorry.
characters real fast. We have
like
What'd you say?
I said I like it dirty. Just throwing it out there.
God dang it. So we our characters, our protagonists, we have Sally Hardesty, who is basically our protagonist. Her brother Franklin, who's in a wheelchair. We have Kirk, who's this cool guy with like an unbuttoned shirt. You have Jerry, who is this curly-headed fuck.
And his girlfriend.
Well,
He's
his
got some
girlfriend.
Curly hair.
Yeah, his girlfriend, Jerry's girlfriend, is Sally. But
Yeah.
Kirk's girlfriend is Pam. Pam is her name. So those are. What do you think of our crew, or our core group of pro tags in this movie?
Well, they have poor judgment making decisions.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Well, I do.
That's what I think.
Yeah, because she and I forget which one. It's not the protagonist, the other girl. Like whenever they go
Pam,
to pick up,
Pam.
when they go to pick up the hitchhiker, she was like, "Ew." She uses a term. She was like, "He looks greasy." Now she said that he looked a specific way.
Well,
anyway,
he
she
did.
was not about it, huh?
Yeah,
said
she
he
has
did.
good instincts.
Yeah, she definitely has good instincts. And I don't know how, like, if you're in the party of 5, how you're not like, oh yeah, we'll just override her. She doesn't feel comfortable with it. But that's okay. And we'll pick
Yeah,
this
I
guy
know.
up.
I know, because I mean yeah, I think they're kind of, two-dimensional to a degree, but they also have like interest. They all kind of have distinct personality traits. Like, I think Kirk is like a really cool guy. He's just kind of cool. And then Jerry's, like I said, a curly-headed fuck. And then, but Franklin, what do you guys think about Franklin?
I've already heard a lot of mixed reviews on Franklin from people in my life that have watched this movie with me. I feel really bad for Franklin. I feel like he is kind of picked on a little bit too much, and I know he's got like a really crazy character, but I do feel bad because he is handicapped and might not be able to be as quick as everyone else, quick-witted. But I feel a lot of sympathy for that character. I feel like I'm the only one because everybody else seems to find him really annoying.
Man, so there's a couple things I want to say. So this is also set in a period where if you're handicapped, like, you really have disadvantages in life. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's not like today where there's a ton of accommodations, and rightfully so, to make your life a little easier. And so he has it rough. Like, one of the funniest scenes in the entire movie was whenever they first pull over to let him go to the bathroom. And that truck comes by, and then somehow he like rolls down the hill.
Oh my god, dude! I laugh every time I see it.
Oh my god, that was hilarious.
Because he's like, "Wow!" He rolls down the hill.
Yeah, and all he had to do was go. All he needed to do was go pee.
I know.
But my biggest critique about this movie is the acting, and maybe this was the character he was supposed to be playing.
Yeah,
but,
it was.
I felt
Definitely
like
was.
specifically his acting was not very good. And again, maybe I just mistook it for the character he was playing. But that,
Yeah, I'm sure
that did it for me.
he's supposed to be slow-ish, and I mean that's why he keeps asking. He's not going to come and get us, is he? And there's no way he can make it here, right? There's no way.
Well, it's not only
scared.
that. It was that, like, there was a scene where he was making a face, and I forget what it. Oh, maybe
dude.
he was like listening to them talk, and
when
he's like,
when they're
looking at-
laughing upstairs,
and like the camera was panning around,
Yeah.
and he just kept the face.
yeah,
Like
well, he's
that.
disgusted. He's disgusted at him, and he kept going. He reminded
He
me of
did,
Joey,
yeah.
actually, in that moment.
Oh man, love you, Joe.
But yeah, I have mixed feelings about Franklin too, because this watch, when I watched it, I did feel more bad for him. Every other watch I've watched it, I'm kind of like, I feel bad for him, but also like, shut the fuck up, Franklin. You're so annoying. Because I was like, can you bitch about anything else, Franklin? But this time I watched it and I was like, I kind of do feel bad for him, because they do just all go into the house and he's fucking stuck outside. And he's trying to like get in. And then when everybody's gone and Sally goes to, she wants to find everybody, Franklin's just like, I think we should go back to, and he's right, but he's not, because we know the twist, but he's like, we should go back there. I mean, he clearly can't go down this hill through the woods with her.
His instincts were actually on point the whole time. Like,
they were, because
he knew that they were marked.
Which they were. They were marked by the hitchhiker with the blood on the van.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's how they knew, And then, of course, you have to have your slasher trope of them going, you have to separate. You have to get these people killed. And one thing I will say about this movie that I do really like is I think the cinematography is really good, especially for a movie that's shot on 16 millimeter. So it's shot on 16 millimeter film, blown up to 35, and it is grimy. But the shot compositions are really cool and really
I
good. There's
agree.
some really good fluid camera movements. There's some really good shot compositions. And I'll talk about here later. But Kirk's death is just an all-timer. It's great because it comes out of nowhere. He's just walking around the house, and then all of a sudden, fucking Leatherface crushes him with a fucking mallet right to his dome,
Yeah.
and he's done.
Yeah.
Just that quick, and then slams the door. What do you guys think of Kirk's death?
I don't like it personally. I think, and then I'll just start this by saying, like, I'm the kind of person who was really into this kind of movie, and really, really deep into these like really dark horror movies. And now that I've experienced a lot of trauma in my life, they're a little bit harder for me to watch. And a lot of like moms will agree with me that like once you have kids, like it's harder to watch this kind of stuff because of like you relate things to your life. And it's hard to watch someone get hit in the head like that and start shaking on the floor from a brain injury.
Convulses. Yeah, he convulses. Yeah.
That is still hits a little bit too close to home for me, and I don't like it. So that was kind of hard for me. And then I kind of just felt sick the rest of the movie and was terrified the whole time. So it's very effective. But man, that is so dark and disturbing. Like even for someone who doesn't have trauma, that they can relate back to on that. But you know, like that's a messed up thing to see. And you just have to like really be like, okay, this is a movie. Like it's just a movie, right? It looks so real. It's shot so well.
Yeah,
and I think the actors do amazing.
The push in on Leatherface when we first seen the kind of like push in zoom to like the close up, and then it's just the quick cut. It just blunts the impact, and it makes you feel it without ever seeing it, because you never see the actual impact. You just feel it, and then you see him on the ground convulsing. It's just really good filmmaking. What do you think, Derrick?
I love how out of the blue, it was very spontaneous, and or it seemed that way.
Yeah, no setup.
No, there wasn't. I mean, he was just, they found this. The only thing that was really that led you to believe that this house had occupants was the generator.
Yeah,
I did
and
like
the
the
car.
graveyard of cars.
So awesome.
Which, you know what this movie is about, and so like you might like if you're just driving. I have seen many yards with a bunch of like cars that people had over the years and just don't get rid of.
Yeah, we used to have one.
Yeah, right. So, but like this graveyard of cars is due to what these people have done to, just random passerbys, and so it like that scene sets up the gravity of what's about to happen going into this house, but it flips so fast, and so that is a really great piece of this movie. It was very surprising.
And we get a 1-2 punch, because then when Pam goes in, not only do we get one of the absolute best shots in all of horror cinema, where she's under, where we're under the swing, and we follow her under the swing up to the house. We track with her. Beautiful, gorgeous tracking shot. One of the most iconic. But when she goes in
this, like we couldn't even name every shot that is so perfect in this.
But that's one of the all timers.
Definitely.
And when she goes in and goes into the living room full of the bones and the feathers, dude, it's so disgusting. Like
I feel like I can smell
so
that
disturbing.
room.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I've had some family members that live in Kentucky, and let me tell you what. Not that it was ever this
cages.
No, like they had vines literally growing in their kitchen, like that came up through the house.
Oh, wow.
They had no indoor plumbing. Like it was about as backwoods as you could get without going back. They had an outhouse. Anyway. I held.
Some people live like that, you know?
They do. They do. I mean, I'm sure they got a great deal on rent, but no running water in the house. It was special. But yeah, you can definitely just from the way, not that you could literally smell it, but you could imagine what this place smelled like,
Reeked of,
felt
yeah.
like, because it's in Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not only like she's not only gonna smell that, but like it's hot, and so that makes
Yeah.
it like 10 times worse. Ugh.
Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I mean, they were talking about the shooting conditions of this movie. They shot this movie over 2 weeks in the summer of '73, and it got up in the interior shots. It got up to like 120 degrees inside with no fans or air conditioning because
Oh
they
my
were
gosh.
shooting day for night. So they had blackout drapes on all the windows so you couldn't see outside. So when they were
What?
shooting the dinner scene, they were like literally going insane. And they could just it was so hot that people were starting to throw up and pass out from the smell of the decaying animals in the other
Oh
room,
my gosh.
the bones, and people's body odor. Because they had to
Well,
keep
like,
wearing the
imagine
same
the grandpa.
had to keep wearing the same shirts because they
Continuity.
had such a low budget. Yeah. And they didn't have others in continuity. So the guy that played Grandpa was under heavy makeup and in a suit. He shot all of his stuff in one day. One 36-hour day.
This must have been before they had
That's so messed
unions.
Oh, well, it's a non-union shoot. It's just a non-union. Be like what we would do if we had to.
Yeah, we're not quite that way. We respect
No.
people. That's terrible.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's-
It was
it-
pretty
it's-
hot upstairs during Secret Admirer.
It was warm, but it wasn't that
It
warm, and
was-
nobody smelled like
it
decaying animals.
Was
So-
hot. Well, let's just say it was hot.
Only when I had to warm up the bathroom, get it all hot so it was steamy,
I'm pretty
then
sure
had
it was
to do
just
the
hot
second time.
anyways.
because it was wiped off.
The first night we were out there, it was just hot.
Yeah, it was warm. It was warm,
It's fun.
but it wasn't.
When we
it
started
wasn't-
this podcast, it was so hot in this room.
Mhm. Not Texas Chainsaw hot though.
I don't know.
Not
There
120
weren't
degrees.
Dead
with-
chicken bones everywhere.
yeah, and BO.
There's always some BO in here.
Oh, always.
I'm just kidding.
Derrick has some.
Dude.
He has his own scent that he lets out when we're shooting.
Make
Yeah.
it smell like man.
Gross.
Okay, so you brought this up. Well, maybe at the end of the episode we'll tell the story.
Okay, we will.
Okay.
So, yeah, her death is also extremely brutal and memorable
Yeah.
and great. I mean, she
Ugh,
gets impaled on a
disturbing.
meat hook. Yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff.
That is like the most, like, that's horrible. So,
Yeah.
so horrible, guys.
Yeah, it made me want to I didn't have time to do the research, but I wanted to see if there were any movies prior to this that had a scene like that, because it was quite brutal. The way
Yeah.
that he just picks her up and walks her into his workstation, I guess, and then just hangs her up on a meat hook.
And not only does he just
And
hang
she's
her up on a
looking
meat
at her
hook,
boyfriend right down there.
then he starts chopping him up with the chainsaw.
Yeah.
It's so dark and disturbing. Yeah. Good stuff.
And she's not dead.
No, she's not dead. She's sitting there watching it. Well, you mentioned, the brutality of it. What's funny is there's barely any blood in this movie, barely any gore. We barely see any kind of actual violence.
hmm
The violence is all pretty much implied. So Toby Hooper did it that way because he was trying to get a PG rating. He wanted this movie to
PG,
be
huh?
PG. He wanted to be PG, and they hit him with an X originally. He's like, "There's barely any blood. We did all this stuff," and they're like, "Yeah, but bro, it's kind of fucked up."
There's
like
plenty
ours
of
the best
blood,
they
I
could do.
think.
There's not.
I
Just
just-
implied. There's only smatterings of
I
blood.
saw some blood.
You saw a little bit of blood. Yeah, there's only smatterings of it.
That's
You just
plenty.
see a little. You just see a little bit on Kirk when he dies. You see it on her, obviously on Sally, but it's not gushing blood. And you see a little bit of blood when Franklin dies. But for the most part, it's pretty, bloodless, I suppose.
I
Because
just think
also-
that is
Good.
so ridiculous that you even like considered that this movie would be PG-13.
I mean,
No kidding.
That's great. I mean, I'm glad he had hopeful thoughts about that, but there's no reality where that gets rated PG-13.
The fact that it's still
PG-13 didn't even exist yet.
Oh, my bad. That's a solid R. I wouldn't go X.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Solid R.
The
Well,
fact that
that's
it's
great.
still scary, like as scary as it is to watch today,
It's
what's this guy thinking?
Yeah, it's the disturbing parts. So when Jerry goes out to investigate, he of course wanders upon the house. And his death is just as quick and brutal, out of nowhere kind of death. He hears a knocking
Mm-hmm.
on the freezer, and he opens it, and Pam's still alive in there, and she like pops out, scares the shit out of him, and then he gets like just taken out by Leatherface, just as quick. What do you guys think of this scene?
So this one actually confused me because me and Jake both, like, he hits him and then like he kind of like goes and puts the girl back in the freezer, and he turns around and he starts like looking around and panicking, and he's like, I thought that the guy got away.
Thank you. I did too.
Did you think the same thing?
Yeah.
No, I did not.
I thought
he was
I was like
panicking.
waiting for him to come back this whole time.
No.
Like the whole rest of the movie, I was like, he's gonna come back and save her or something. Like,
No,
I've
he
never
was
seen
dead.
this movie before.
Yeah, he was dead. He was panicking because there's three dead bodies in this house that he's got to have to explain because they wandered into his house. So he's
At
like
this point,
wondering.
he gets semi-self-defense.
Yeah, well, he's kind of wondering probably if there's any more. I mean, that's how I took it, is him seeing if there's anybody else coming. Because he can't have any of them get away, because if they get away, they'll tell him about the house. So, and that's, the cook mentions that later when he says, did any of them get away? And, that's why he's like so afraid, is he doesn't want any of them to get away, because then it'll reveal the big secret that the barbecue that they're selling at the gas station, first of all, is human flesh. And they ate some of it. Just think about that. Let that settle in for you for a minute.
I usually watch these movies while I'm eating dinner, and I had to eat a vegetarian dinner tonight.
I didn't. I ate a nice
eating
juicy
meat during this.
cheeseburger.
Yeah.
I really did. I ate a cheeseburger after.
I had a chicken sandwich, so there was no mistaking.
Yeah.
That's funny.
That's good.
But yeah. So up to this point, the movie is good. It has good kills. It's solid. But it's kind of just kind of meandering along. And then, but once Franklin dies, this movie doesn't let off the gas pedal.
No, it doesn't.
After Franklin's death, this movie is, and this is where I found it effective, because at the same time, I know the history of the movie, and I know the what it meant to horror cinema, and I know its place in horror cinema. And I was like, it's good. It looks better this time than it's the way it's shot. It's so good, and all this stuff. I'm noticing all these cool camera glides and whatnot. But once Franklin dies, and his death also is out of nowhere, because it comes from the opposite side you're expecting it to come from. You have your attention drawn to this side, and he comes from the right side, and just pops out of nowhere and just chainsaws old poor Franklin up.
Yeah, Franklin didn't stand a chance. Yeah. It's mostly sad. I think it's really sad for his sister, who has to just like leave him and like run away and try to save her life, and then run for like 3 hours straight.
Dude, that's
screaming,
what I'm saying.
Bloody murder.
That's what I'm saying. From this part, this is what really got to me. This watch is the relentlessness of the chase. The chase is super effective, and I think the reason it is so effective to me is because of the lighting and the shot selections. Because it puts you like right there. You're right there with them.
Yep.
And it looks like it's, sparsely lit, and you can imagine yourself being chased in the woods by something. And what makes it even scarier is that that's a real chainsaw that this guy is chasing this actress with, and it just fucking terrifies me. Like, just is such a. There is no way I would have a real chainsaw chasing an actress these days. But, they had to do what they had to do, guerrilla style. But the
I
chase,
feel like you'd at least take the chain off. You can still
Right.
get by with that.
yeah, with it running and stuff.
Yeah.
So the chase is. What do you guys think of the chase?
Man, it's
Because
so
it's-
good. I mean, I
The first
like.
and
I think
second
it's
chase are very effective
Yeah,
because she gets
Yes.
chased twice.
yes, she does. The first chase
think, like-
when they go into the house. Go ahead, Lydia.
well when just starting out with Franklin's death, like it comes out of nowhere to her, to both of them. They don't know that there's like this guy. They don't know that Leatherface is killing people
A
with
thing.
things.
They don't know it's a thing. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just like, I mean, he just comes out of the woods and they're just like totally caught off guard. It's crazy because we've already been introduced to him,
Yeah, yeah. And then when they go into the house and when she goes and locks him out of the house and goes upstairs and she sees Grandpa. That's fucking creepy. That's so disturbing. Like, can you imagine? You're running, you go into this house hoping to find some help, and you see this freaking old decrepit man and a like corpse just laying there.
Yeah,
So
that's
there's a
so
great-
messed
At
up.
first, I thought
I love
both
her-
of them were dead.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Yeah.
until later till he
They
started
look dead.
sucking on her finger.
Oh God, we'll get to the dinner
Uh.
scene. We'll get to the whole dinner scene. It is.
I love
It's why it's so effective. Yeah.
that her reaction is to just go like jump out the window because that's
Well,
would be my
eventually, yeah.
reaction 1000%.
Because I love that she goes downstairs. There's a great bit. There's a lot of comedy throughout this movie if you're looking for it. It's a really dark comedy. When she runs down the stairs and Leatherface has busted through the door, she yells and he goes, he jumps at her like he's afraid of her. And then he starts to chase her again. So she jumps out of the window, which, yeah, like you said, Lydia, I would have done too. I'm like, fuck it.
What do you got to lose?
Anything would be better
Yeah.
than that.
Yeah,
Anything
absolutely.
would be better than that.
In this second chase, Derrick, that you were like you said, the second chase is also super effective. So when she goes to the gas station, what do you guys think of this whole scene in the gas station? All of it, the chase up to it, and then that.
I thought she had a chance until she got beat down with a broom.
Dude, the broom beating fucking cracks me up. It's so funny.
It
That's
does
another
me
bit of that.
too. I was like,
That's
what
another
the-
bit of that dark comedy. Yeah, it's the way he does. He's
I did
like,
not think it was funny.
It's in there. It's
I
Toby
think
Hooper even
it
talks
is-
about it.
It is kind of funny, but I think it's like for me, I was just really putting myself like way too far into this character, and
Oh,
I just
dude,
went back to the
no.
moment where she is like talking to Franklin at the van, and she's just exhausted, and nothing has even happened yet. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, they
Well,
had
she's
the
been
whole,
taking
like,
care of
day,
him. Yeah.
and she's
Yeah.
just like, "I'm just tired, Franklin. Like, stop asking me questions," kind of thing. And then like we get to this moment, and she's just like, crazed,
Oh, dude,
terrified, running.
when she goes in there, and there's a great like, it's just like the tension is just keeps tightening. It's so like tightening when she's sitting in there. He goes out. So if you've
Mhm.
never seen this movie, you didn't know anything about it, you could very well think that Leatherface is going to kill this guy, and he's going to come back in. But instead, he comes back in. He pulls the truck back, and right before it, she looks in and she starts to see the meat and starts to realize that it doesn't look like animal meat.
Mhm.
And then he comes out with a burlap sack and a fucking and rope. And she's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "No, just stay calm. Everything's gonna be fine." Like, no, it's not. What are you talking about? So when she, he ties her up and everything, and we find the hitchhiker, on the way to the house. This is the funniest. This is the stuff I'm talking about. The dark humor. His interactions with the hitchhiker are hilarious. He just keeps calling him a half-wit and beating him with the part of the broom that still exists.
Well, this is when you get so the prelogue kind of to the movie is you hear like the news. And the news is going over like how they've had, so many graves dug up and, they don't have any leads and things like that. And, it opens with a shot of like a corpse.
Yeah.
It's a very effective opening. I really love the opening. I know we kind of talked out of order, but like, that's a really great opening to a movie.
It is. It's really effective.
It's scary too.
Because his brother like starts berating him. He was like, you've been digging up those graves again. And like yelling at him.
Which is why our protagonists are even there, because they went to check on their grandfather's grave to make sure that he's still there. So that's the whole
little.
Remember?
I knew they were going to this house, which, by the way, if this house were like in any type of good condition, it looks like it would have been a really cool, really nice house.
Yeah, no, that's why they go. Remember when because they stop off at the graveyard first, and Sally goes up and says, we're here about my grandfather, and there's a drunk guy drinking the beer, and he's
okay.
Yeah. So they're there to make sure, because of all these grave diggings, that the grandpa's intact and everything's there. And so it's ironic that these are the people that are doing it, and then they end up ensnared in the trap. And we get the dinner scene, but before the dinner scene, we get Grandpa's introduction. Like you talked about, they wheel down Grandpa, and it's just all disturbing. It's so loud, like just loud noises and chaos, and she's just screaming her head off, trying to get through this, and it's just so like tension building and like unpleasant. And
unpleasant is a great word for that.
Yeah. And then he cuts her finger open, and Grandpa starts sucking on it, and she passes out, which I fucking would have too. How gross is Grandpa sucking on the blood finger?
So gross. So gross. So gross. Ew.
It dude, it's special. That's
it's super disturbing. Super disturbing.
That's some dark stuff.
Dead. Yeah. Like I legitimately just thought he was dead. He looked like he was dead. But anyway, then he starts sucking on this finger, and it was just like,
like, what happened to him?
He's just extremely old. He's like in his hundreds.
That's not what extremely old people look like.
Yeah, it is.
Well,
that's the lore. Yeah, that's the lore. He's just really old.
No.
And I love at the dinner scene, which I know we're about to go into, where they're talking him up. Oh, your daddy was or grandpa was the best.
Grandpa's the best. Grandpa's the best. It's so disturbing because they're just going about like their daily like routine of stuff. Leatherface comes down dressed in a suit and tie because it's formal dinner. He's got a different face on, a woman's face. And then we have the cook and the hitchhiker like bickering back and forth about shit while Grandpa's just like laying there practically, almost dead at the end of the table. And they're just torturing. It's just torture. It's just torture for Sally because they're taunting her, and Leatherface keeps approaching her to try to like look at her, and it's disturbing. And it's just imagining yourself tied up in that situation with these maniacs is terrifying. It's terrifying. That is a disturbing thought. And the way that like they start bickering, and then when they say, he's like, let's get it over with, because there's no use torturing the girl, because that's what I'm saying. The cook has this like weird warped view of morality.
Moral code.
Yeah, moral code. He's like, well, we're gonna kill her, but she doesn't have to suffer for it, and she doesn't have to feel much pain. We should just get it over with.
But that's clearly not how he actually feels, because the truck ride over, he was like poking her while he was comforting her.
I think he has his, he can't decide, but I do think that he has this weird, like I said, moral view where he's like, these are the guys that do it. I just make the food. They do the killing. I don't have the stomach for the killing, but it has to be done in order for me to make our barbecue, essentially. So yeah, when they pull out the hammer, and like you were talking about, Derek, about them talking about how Grandpa was the best.
And then the hitchhiker is like grabbing his hand, or maybe it was the other brother, and like trying, because Grandpa, like, he ain't getting it up.
Yeah, because the hitchhiker
That's pun intended.
Sally. Yeah, the hitchhiker has Sally because he cut off the ropes, so that way she could go to the bucket, and then Leatherface is handing Grandpa the hammer and trying to make her hit him hit her with the hammer, and he can't hold it. He just keeps dropping it and just keeps dropping it,
So
and then
pathetic and weird.
Almost hits her at one point, and then it doesn't, and then finally he does whack her, and we see like the wound where he whacks her with the hammer, but it wasn't enough to do any like major damage, just superficial damage.
Mm-hmm.
But just the thought of that, just so disturbing. Like you're hopeless. You feel so hopeless. It's so dark and hopeless.
And this, because they had put her over like a big bucket, right, to try to contain this, and they're trying several times to do this. I mean, if you're the victim in that scenario, like every swing and that miss, and even when they did hit you, like you said, more superficial than actual damage, like that's some tormented stuff right there.
Yeah, just trauma. Yeah.
No way is that PG.
Yeah.
Right? No kidding. That's so weird.
So yeah, she escapes.
Fight or flight, baby. She puts on those wings in.
She does. She does. She escapes and jumps out of her second window. She's like, "This motherfucking house is gonna have no windows by the time I leave."
At least it was on the first floor.
Yeah.
And she gets more hurt this time somehow.
Yeah, well, you know why? Because she hurt herself in real life. So they had a stunt double jump out of the window, obviously. And then they had her do the insert shot of her jumping, and she like twisted her ankle when she jumped. It's like, oh, of course. So this second chase, Derek, this chase, super intense, right?
It is, because the funny thing about this is the hitchhiker is like keeping pace with her, and he's more like antagonizing her than trying to catch her, because and
he's slicing her back with the knife.
Yeah,
he
is.
That's so messed up.
So it's just so disturbing. Yeah, just slicing her back, and
it's
then
like such a nightmare.
Yeah, it is. And then he gets his comeuppance by way of semi-truck.
Oh man, that's great.
It's great, yeah. It's so cathartic, isn't it? So cathartic when he gets killed.
It is, yeah, for sure. And also, like, I mean, you can tell that it's a dummy, but it's very effective.
It looks so
it gets
good.
Rolled under, yeah. The way it gets rolled
looks
under.
Great. Oh god, it's so scary to think about. But yeah,
never have great. You rooted for somebody to get run over by a truck more than that guy.
Yeah. This is like the opposite of Gage. We actually want this one to happen.
Yeah.
So,
for sure.
Yeah,
it just
then
clicked in my head what you said.
Guys, there's this bit, this truck driver. So she tries to climb in the truck, Leatherface is coming. So she climbs in with the guy. Leatherface is chainsawing the door. So they both run out, and this poor ass truck driver grabs a wrench, and he's just kind of like chases after him, and they're both running, and Leatherface is chasing him, and this guy is just like fuck you, throws a wrench and hits him right in the face, and he falls and chainsaws his own leg.
Yeah,
we see the meat, we see it. He gets grinded up, and this truck pulls over, sees him and pulls over. The truck driver just keeps on running. He doesn't get in the truck with Sally. He just keeps on running.
No, I wondered. I was like, well, what happened to the truck driver?
Yeah,
I thought he got away.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to him. Maybe
He's
it's
the second
explained.
person in this movie that I lost track of.
He just disappears. Like, he just keeps running. And Leatherface is in no position to chase him. He's got a fucked up leg. But he just keeps on running, I guess. But Sally jumps in the truck, and Leatherface chases her, and we get one of the most iconic shots in horror history. Her in the back of the pickup laughing maniacally because she's fucking feeling it, guys. She's went through it, and she survived. And we end with the iconic... Oh, yeah. Yeah. Then we end with the iconic Leatherface swinging his chainsaw, and we end mid-swing. Such a great, chop, the way we cut it. What do you guys think of the ending to this movie?
It's so beautiful. That image of him, with the sunrise.
With the sunrise? Yeah.
And the swinging. It's like the crispest shot.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Movie.
Yeah.
It is beautiful.
It's kind of like poetic horror.
Yeah.
In a way.
In the end.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah, it's a great ending. Great ending.
It's such a dark movie, guys.
Yeah, you finally you see the sun finally at the end.
Yeah.
You see the sun, and the nightmare's over. She escapes. And Leatherface is still there. But the bit where he falls and cuts his leg open, you know how they did that?
No.
So
they really did it.
They cut his leg open.
No, they didn't do that. They're not that crazy. But they put they had a
surprise me.
They had a metal sheet underneath his pants. Then they had meat on top of it and a blood pack, and they really chainsawed it. So he screams.
That's some crazy stuff.
He screams because the metal got super hot from the chainsaw. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That happens for sure.
That's that guerrilla.
I wonder if they'd expect it. He probably didn't expect that either.
Probably not. No.
No one was like, yeah, the metal's gonna get really hot under there.
I could think of 2 other different ways to make that shot work without endangering the actor. Dig a hole that he can put his actual leg in that you can't see.
And have a fake leg.
Yeah, have a fake leg, man. God.
But it looks like they really cut into his leg, so it was effective.
So
it does. It's very effective.
Yeah. Get that metal out of there.
Man.
Yeah.
Or just have the metal not touching his skin.
Yeah, have something underneath. Yeah.
I mean, and kudos to the actor who was just that. I'm sure they explained it to him, and they're like, "Oh yeah, what could go wrong?"
Dude,
I got this.
By the end of this movie, Gunnar Henson, which is the actor that plays Leatherface, he said that they were basically the whole cast was insane by this point, because of the heat, the smell, the exhaustion. They just because it was supposed to be 2-week shoot and it went for 4. So it was shot over 4 weeks in the super hot summer. And so he said that there was a point where they started crossing into delirium when they were shooting the dinner scene, and Toby would give them direction, but they would take the direction as their character and not as themselves portraying a character. Which is really scary because they're playing cannibalistic murderers. So,
oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. He also, another great story he said is that on set, like he only had the one shirt. Gunner did. He only had the one shirt, the one yellow shirt, and it was dyed so it couldn't be washed. So he had to wear this shirt for 4 weeks. Said by the end of it,
God, he stunk.
nobody sat by him at lunch. Nobody stood near him.
Oh, jeez.
That
Hopefully
is
they all got
insane.
bonuses.
Hey, listen, pain is temporary, guys, but film is forever.
That's
Yeah, so is
true.
your
And
memory.
this film lives on
It does. It does.
as a classic.
Yep. So hey, worth it, right? Worth it.
Worth it.
Worth
So-
Would
it.
they do it again? No.
Here's the thing. I was not really in the mood to watch this movie yesterday, and I did anyway, because obviously we wanted to talk about it today. And so like I don't know if it was like my mindset going in, but like I did not I enjoyed recapping this movie more than I enjoyed watching the movie. And I think it's because I mean you guys have done a great job of like getting me in the mood to to think about this movie, and so kudos to you. Because
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, sometimes that happens. Yeah, sometimes you watch it, you're not really either in the space to watch it or in the mind frame or in the mood. And then that's happened to me a few times where I went in, to the review like, okay, I feel this way. Then by the end of the review, I was like, no, you know what? Actually, I feel more this way, my rating and viewpoint has moved, which is what the point of us talking about it is.
Yep.
The point of the
Discussing
discussion.
and making an objective decision on
Yep.
how we would rate this. I feel the same way. I actually because we had talked about this, and you told us that you were going to pick this movie, and I was like, that's the movie I was going to pick. Like, I was going to pick this movie before Jamie, before Jamie told me that he was going to. So, and then by the time it's like, oh, it's time for me to watch this movie now, and I'm not in the right mood for it, and I was just like amping myself up of like, no, this movie is scary. Like, I don't even want to watch it. It's so scary.
Well, I went into it just.
I know it's dark, and we don't cover a lot of like really dark, disturbing movies on here.
No, usually we try to cover more fun ones, but this is a seminal classic. I mean, we had to
Yes.
cover it because of what it meant to the horror genre. Another one that is dark that I would like to cover eventually is Last House on the Left. That's an extremely dark movie. Hills Have Eyes, but to a lesser degree. There's some really dark stuff in Hills Have Eyes, but also kind of slaps. I really love Hills Have Eyes. But I'm really excited to eventually talk about this sequel because as far as tone, it's the complete 180 of this movie. So I can't wait to talk about it eventually. So yeah, I went into this with I went in with a completely open mind because I was like, I was going to watch it late last night. And I was like, it's too late. I'm kind of tired. I don't want to be dozing off while I'm watching it or anything. I want to give it my full attention. So I watched it today after I finished last week's episode, cleaned, did a bunch of stuff. I went and just sat down. I asked Sarah if she wanted to watch it, and she said no. So I just sat by myself and watched it and had a good time and had a lot of critiques, a lot of things to say about it because I found it really effective this time. And I was like, wow, okay. I can see that it's the darkness of it. There's just some dark shit going on here, guys. Disturbing shit. So that leads us to do our ratings for this movie. Who wants to start?
Derrick does.
All right, fine, I'll do it.
Do you want me to start? I can start
No,
if you want me to.
Yeah, you
So you're
start.
going to get the most honest response because I won't be influenced by yours. So here's the thing. When I sat down and watched this, the one thing that I thought was the weakest part of this movie were the other actors with the main antagonist.
Protagonist, yeah.
Protagonists, yeah. They to me, they weren't very strong. And again, like some of it could have just been like me misinterpreting the way that they were portraying their characters. I just took it as, oh, this is terrible acting. Because I actually thought that the hitchhiker, the cook, and then Leatherface, I thought they did a really great job.
They're great.
Like
yeah.
they were just nuts, nuts. And they stole the show. But I thought that those characters were a little weak. So the first part of this movie drug a little bit for me. I do like the kills, like just how out of the blue that they happen. And you're right. And Franklin's death, because you're expecting it from one direction and it comes from another, like it's disorienting kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it brings that another element of surprise to the scene. So you guys really made me have a better appreciation for this movie. I'm gonna rewatch this movie when I'm in a better mindset and see if I take it a little bit better. I'm gonna give this movie a 6, only because at the time, like you guys actually brought it up a little bit because I did not have fun watching this movie, and not because of the gore. It just, I don't know, it wasn't there. So I'm gonna give it a 6, my honest opinion. Who's
Lydia?
Next?
All right, I'll go next.
I can go next if you want me to.
No, it's fine. I think, yeah, there are so many amazing things about this movie, and I have watched it like where I've had a lot of fun watching it before, and that I wish I had that experience this time, because I just feel like I'm just a little bit sensitive nowadays. So, but I do have a love for this movie. I think the actors did amazing. I think it's so dark and disturbing and triggering. Like if you want to be scared, you should watch this movie. Like we watch a lot of movies on here, and this one has got to be probably the scariest for me.
It's the darkest for sure.
It's so dark. It's so dark. And not in a good, it's scary in a bad way. You know what I mean? Like it's like I don't want to feel this feeling of scared. It's not safe. It's not a safe movie. It's dark. So for those reasons, okay, so I'm gonna give this movie an 8. I don't know. It might be higher for some people. It just depends. It really depends who you are. For me, this movie is really triggering in a lot of aspects. But I also recognize that it is like a really great film. Like these camera shots, these shots that have been set up so perfectly are. I mean, this movie does this movie deserve those camera shots? Because these camera shots are like A++.
Yeah.
They're next level.
So here's how I feel. Speaking of the camera shots, there's a couple of really great compositions. One of my favorite compositions in the movie is towards the end, when we're setting up for the dinner scene, when he's tying her up. We're framed to where we see her like off center, and we see them in the background, and we're like watching her off center. So it's like the camera's just kind of set there on a tripod, like we are just a voyeur watching this mayhem go. And it's such a beautiful composition because it's so scary. Yeah. And as I was watching it, I was like, oh man, that's some A+ filmmaking there, Daniel Pearl and Toby Hooper. Good thinking. Here's an interesting fact before I get into my rating. This movie was shot, the cinematography was done by Daniel Pearl. The 2003 remake, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, was shot by Daniel Pearl.
Really?
He lensed both movies.
Wow.
Imagine the perspective that he brought to that shoot.
Yeah, and he used a completely different style for the remake. So
Wow.
yeah, impressive. So yeah, guys, I'm gonna give this movie an 8 too. I was almost I want to give it a 9, but I didn't like fucking 5 9s in a row.
Oh my gosh.
But it's so good. It is. Um, the the first act is a little slow for sure, where we're learning the characters. The hitchhiker scene is great. Um, the setup is good, and but man, once Franklin dies, this movie is a 10. It just ramps up and it just does not stop, and it's so scary. I found this to be the most effective watch that I've had of this movie. I feel like because I was going into it as to critically analyze it, and it really just worked for me. The I could feel the anxiety on certain shots, especially the when he's cutting through the trees, chasing after her and stuff. Um, which by the way, he's wearing lifts in real life, right? Gunnar Hansen is, and he still was able to catch up with her, so he had to like find busy work to do. That way he wouldn't be able to catch up with her, so he has to chop the trees. So that way he creates himself an obstacle that he has to go through. So that way they could keep the long tracking shots, because there's beautiful tracking shots. There's that shot of Franklin that you were talking about, Derrick, when he's making that face is a beautiful shot because they have like the it dollies around him, and they had less than 20 feet of track. I think maybe 40 feet of track. So they literally had to take track from behind them and put it in front of them as they were doing these tracking shots. Isn't that amazing? Wonderful.
That's insane. That's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah, I wonder how you. We've never really messed with tracks, so I wonder how you coordinate something like that.
Yeah, you'd have to have your crew.
And a team.
I mean,
Yeah.
nowadays we don't need them because we have floating gimbals and we have poor man dollies and we have lighter
Yeah, so they
cameras.
should have just used gimbals, man.
Oh yeah, they
Obviously,
should go
that's
into the
just-
future.
Yeah,
73.
and they go
74.
back to the future. No,
Yeah.
I'm just
So
kidding.
yeah, impressive filmmaking. Tobe Hooper's a master, and we'll see more Tobe Hooper movies eventually. We'll definitely get to Poltergeist one of these days because it's a Stone Cold classic as well.
Real quick, I have a question for you.
Mhm.
'Cause I vaguely remember when this movie, when I was younger and like watching this movie a couple of times. Like I feel like I heard, and this is just complete hearsay, that people thought that this movie was based off of a true story.
They did, yeah, because the
Is
reason they
that the
think that,
lore?
well, the reason is because the movie itself starts off saying that it's a true story.
Yeah.
The opening narration says that it's a true story, so people
There
took
you
that
go.
as being real.
Yeah,
Which, by the way, you guys know who does the voiceover, right?
Who?
It's John Larroquette from Night Court.
What?
Yeah,
Nice.
he's the voiceover guy.
Really?
Yeah, on this one,
course
I
he
love
is.
Night Court.
Night Court's great. On this one, on the remake, and I think on the newest one, he's the voiceover in each of them. Does the opening narration. So, yeah,
Give it another listen.
that's cool. Yeah, they say one of the bits that's really funny when I was reading the trivia, they said Tobe Hooper was like, he gave him the direction to sound like Orson Welles, right? He wanted him to sound like Orson Welles, and then he said, but he ended up sounding like John Larroquette. So what are you gonna do? I guess another bit of trivia I read was like he got paid in joints, I guess.
Hey, smoke them if you got them.
Yeah, great stuff. So that was Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Tobe Hooper's Stone Cold classic, in my opinion. Lydia, it is your turn to pick. So be thinking about it while we do our favorite bit of this show, favorite segment of the show, which is Atkinization.
Thrill me.
Who does Tom Atkins play in this movie, Derrick?
You know, I think he would have to play the guy, even though he dies. I don't think fucking Tom Atkins would take that shit. But the guy with the open shirt, the other
Well, yeah,
boyfriend.
yeah, the more attractive guy, yeah.
Yeah, I think because
I don't know. I think it would
Curly
be.
Boy, is that who you call him?
Yeah, yeah. I think it would be fun to see Tom Atkins as like as the cook.
No.
And I'm trying to
Absolutely
picture him
not.
in that as that character. Man, it's hard for me to
Yeah,
do
he'd
that.
have to. You're probably right. He'd probably
Yeah.
have to play. He definitely wouldn't be Franklin.
You know
No,
who
if
I'd
he
cast
was-
him as?
If he's Franklin, Franklin would be a lot cooler.
I mean,
Who?
Watch.
That's true. I would cast him as the drunk guy that has like fallen over in the grass at the cemetery.
At the beginning? At the
Yeah.
beginning?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you could do that too.
Just a little
That'd be
cameo
good.
for this one.
Just a little cameo in this one.
Yeah.
Or imagine him
To
as
brighten it.
Leatherface. He's just
no, I
drinking
won't.
a
I
beer.
refuse.
pulls down his mask.
That's why God created chainsaws, babe. That's why God created chainsaws.
Wonderful.
Dang it.
So Lydia,
Yes.
what are we watching next week?
So I've really been wanting to watch this one, and I think it'll be kind of topical a little bit, but I'm going to choose The Orphan.
Oh, nice. Orphan.
Yes. I haven't
Derrick,
seen it in a
you've
while,
not seen
and I'm
that, have you?
excited.
Nope.
Where's Orphan? Is Orphan streaming anywhere?
Probably not. Gonna say no, but who knows?
Orphan is streaming on Amazon Prime with a subscription. It's also available
Nice.
on Apple TV, Google Play, YouTube, and Vudu. It is a
Perfect.
2009 movie starring the great and amazing Vera Farmiga. I love Vera Farmiga.
And some other people are in it too.
Other people are in it too. Peter Skarsgård's in it. Our main character is played by Isabel Furman. Plays Esther. CCH Pounder is also in this movie, by the way. So that's that movie. Orphan next week.
Yes.
Watch
Can't
it.
wait.
You know,
Watch
this
it.
movie does hit a little close to home. I'm pretty sure that we had mentioned it in a previous episode, but like there was
We
a
did.
couple from Indiana that adopted a foreign child, and it turns out she was an adult lady.
Yes, that is true. That is true.
Yep.
Could you imagine? It was her
No.
dental records that like the dentist was like, "What?
Why does she have fillings?
Yeah, why did this is the teeth pattern of like a 30-year-old?"
This is weird. Hey,
Anyway.
this is all strange. Why does she have children?
So
I mean-
crazy. Such a crazy story. It's a little different in the movie, you know, but
Yes. Derrick,
slightly.
you said you were going to tell a story. What story was that? I mean, you have to tell two stories, probably. But what story was you going to tell?
Oh my gosh. So like one of the early movies that Jamie and I were working on, we were going to build our own gimbal rig, right? And so my wife just happened to be with us at the time. So to do a backstory, one time Jamie and I were over at his apartment, and man, we were just like lighting the place up with farts. Like, it was pretty bad. And his wife walks in and she's talking to us, and I'm like, "Sarah, does this smell weird in here?" She was like, "Yeah," but I didn't want to say anything. "It smells like ass, I'm pretty sure," is what she said. And so cut to the we were in Lowe's, and we were getting a bunch of stuff to make this homemade gimbal, and I was talking to the cashier, and I guess I was saying weird stuff.
Yeah. yeah, you were just saying some random shit, and then you said to me, you said to me, "Hey Jamie, do you remember the time?" Because we were talking about doing something, and Derek said, "Hey, do you remember the time that we made your house smell like man?" And there was like a pregnant pause with everyone, and I said, "No, man, I don't remember that. That was weird, right?" And the cashier's like, "Yeah, that was weird." Yeah, and his wife's like, "Yeah, that was weird." And Derek's just kind of like looking around. So he was trying to talk about this fart, this time that we made it smell like farts in the house, but he literally used the phrase, "You remember when we made it smell like man?" Which I don't know how else you're
Oh my
supposed to take that.
gosh.
No, I'm telling you, like that's a very, if you were to say something like that to somebody, they'd be like, "Oh, you mean farting?" Congratulations.
No, I don't think they would.
You know what? Let's do a poll. If a random
Fill out the
person told you
poll.
that they made their house smell like man, what would you assume? Put your comments down below.
Please do comment on this. Oh, Derek,
my
I thought
God.
you were going to tell a different story. To be honest, I thought you were going to tell the story of when we were shooting Hookman, and then subsequently when we shot Secret Admirer as well. But when we were shooting Hookman,
Oh, when I farted in
yeah,
front of
we just
Gabby.
met. He just met our lead actress, and we're setting up the shots, and he just forgets that she's there, so he just lets a fart rip, and I look at him with my jaw dropped open, and she looks at him, and Derek's just like, "Sorry about that. I forgot you were there." Felt super embarrassed. So from that point forward, he would, every time he had to fart, he would leave the set. And so when we were shooting Secret Admirer, we had a green room where we had food and stuff. This office actually, but we had food set up, craft services. Derek was going in here, or Lydia was in there looking for a prop. So she was actually in the office.
Sorry,
And Derek
Lydia.
walks in, didn't know she was here, sticks his ass into the room and farts. And she turns around and sees Lydia, and he's like, "Oh my God, Lydia, I didn't know you were there."
Dude, my butt has got me in so much trouble. So this is the last fart story I'll tell, but it's a pretty classic one. Okay.
Oh my God.
Anybody who grew up in Peru had to go to like Video West at some point, and they had tags that they would put on nails right in front of their videos. And if they had a tag, they had the movie. And so my brother and I were in there, and I was standing next to this guy. I didn't know the guy. I was like 11. So I'm standing there like looking for a movie. This guy's standing next to me, and my brother's standing on the other side, and I fart. And the guy looks down at me and he goes, "My God." And my brother got so embarrassed. He shoved me as hard as he could, and I fell into this rack of videotapes. Fell down, and when I got up, like it looked like a tiger had grabbed my back and just scratched me down.
Oh my gosh.
Where the nails, like you'd hang the nails on, or the tags, and so yeah, that's a fun time.
Oh man, this
That's
episode's
insane.
unairable now.
It's not
Yeah,
an
we're
error.
gonna have to cut all this out.
All right, one more. It's funny.
Oh, you have one more story?
I didn't fart. But I
Okay,
have
this is
one
not
more
a fart story. Okay, one more story.
This is about Jay in a video store. So I had this huge crush on this girl in like elementary school. And anyway, so like I was in the video store. It was Video Stop on the West Side. And so she came in. And so I'm standing there, and I put my hand on the rack of videotapes, and I cross my leg, and I'm just like, like looking at her. My brother walks up behind me and kicks my foot from underneath me. I brought that entire rack of videotapes down. She turns and looks and sees who it is, which is me. She knew that I had a crush on her, and she like runs out of the store. I was like, "Oh my God, you a-hole."
That is messed
pretty
up.
classic. That's
It
pretty
is
classic.
pretty messed up, man.
But I mean, that's all right. You got your revenge years later when you told the internet that he shit himself. So congratulations.
It took me years, but I finally got my revenge. Not only did he shit himself, he went to bed before he took a bath. Which did he underwear.
So gross. Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
my God.
So that is our episode, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, especially the 10 minutes of fart jokes afterwards. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Comment down below what your if you want any new movies, like what movie you want us to review next. We will definitely take that into consideration when we pick our next one. Also comment on Derrick's poll about Man, if you want. That's another thing you could do.
Yep, definitely. It's going to be my favorite.
You can follow us on Instagram at Scream Bloody Movies. You can follow us on Facebook at HiLa Productions. You can follow us online and get merchandise at HiLaProductions.com. And you can follow us on Twitter. You can follow Derrick at DDoglyMaster. You can follow Lydia at LydiaIsSpooky. And you can
Oh, I
follow
changed my name.
me. Oh, you did?
I changed my Twitter name.
What is it?
It's Lydia Spooky Sprouts.
Okay. So you can follow Derrick at DDoglyMaster. You can follow Lydia at LydiaSpookySprouts. And you can follow me at Racket. It has been the same since like 2009. Anything else you guys want to say? No? Good. I'm glad we took time for that pause.
I'll explain that I changed my Twitter name because I made an Instagram page that I'm going to be doing spooky plant themed, like house plants that are kind of on the gothic side.
I got one for you if you haven't heard of it.
What is it?
Strangely enough, Wicked Witch Full of Envy. Have you heard of that one?
No.
That's a real plant. I love the name of it.
I'll have to look it up. I'll check it
I care
out.
less about the plant, but it's got a cool name.
This episode has evolved into the craziest shit I've ever heard in my life.
Wicked Witch Full of Envy. Yeah. Heard it here.
You can follow Derrick at DDoglyMaster. Follow Lydia at LydiaSpooky. Follow me at Racket. Be sure to like, share, subscribe. Let's help grow the channel. Stay tuned for more news about the Halloween short. We'll have an update next week on that. We'll also have updates on the feature that we're working on. So stay tuned for that as well. So if there's nothing else, for Derrick Lemaster and Lydia Judy, I am Jamie Hiles. And remember, if you're going to scream, scream bloody movies. Good night, guys.